Hello and welcome to Willow Talk's T20 World Cup Wrap-Up of Australia's big win over Bangladesh to start the next phase. The tournament really beginning. Adam Peacock alongside Alyssa, Healy and also Brad Haddin. Heels, that was the perfect way to start. As said, when the tournament really starts, we got it right.
I think, quote Brad Haddin and say the tournament hadn't even started until, yesterday. But, good way to start for the boys, I thought. To sum it up, I thought they were clinical in everything that they needed to do. We were worried about their fielding after that last game, but I think tonight showed that they can switch it on when it really counts.
As we said the other day, the tournament starts now. We've seen England flex their muscle. We've seen India do the same, and now the Aussies have turned up to play. As you said, Heels, they were clinical. Their fielding was back on point, which is a real attitude thing and a real marker for this Australian team. But they were clinical.
So Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood came in for Nathan Ellis and Ashton Agar. No real surprise there. There were some odd articles in the last 24 to 48 hours suggesting that they were going to break up that three paceman cartel, the elite three of Starc, Cummins and Hazlewood. Didn't happen. Haddin came in for Bangladesh. Australia won the toss and bowled first. Both teams said they were going to bowl first. Why is that, Hads? What was the thinking behind bowling first there?
I just think it was the weather. As simple as that. There's a bit of unpredictability about what the weather looked like, and it's happened all tournament. And I just think when you're playing a team like Bangladesh, it's important just to get out there, settle the nerves a little bit. But the only reason that they would have been a little bit nervous would have been because of the weather coming in.
Heels, do you know that at the toss that, in 6 hours' time, there's a 32% chance of a shower coming in over the ground?
Well, it's an interesting one because the stats show that actually batting first there gets more often than not the right results. So I think it was 11 out of 18 times the team batting first won the game. So, and the average score was like 130. So I'm sure at the break Bangladesh might have thought they were in with a sniff, but the wicket turned out to be a really good one. I think key for the Aussies in winning the toss and bowling would simply be get out there together as a group, have a look properly at conditions. I think sometimes when you're playing against a side like Bangladesh, if you're not completely sure about the conditions with the spin attack they've got, it could cause a few problems. So for them to get out there with ball in hand and know exactly what they're about to face with bat in hand probably gave them an advantage.
So Bangladesh bat first, 8 for 140. Not so good after 3 deliveries, Heels. Mitch came up with one of his specials, but this time it wasn't the jamming Yorker. It was a beautiful little shape to the ball and cleaned his man up, Tanzid.
Yeah, a little low skidder. I wonder if he's been working on that one. I mean, the amount of there was a lot of pace and carry out there when the boys bashed away at the wicket, but Mitch got one to slide under the bat, which was pretty cool. But yeah, nice little milestone for him to be the leading wicket-taker in World Cup cricket. Probably one that you look back on at the end of your career and go, cool, and someone will go past you at some point in time. But for someone like him, it's another little opportunity to reflect on, how good he's been for the Aussies, in particular in World Cups.
There's some freakish numbers about Mitch with white ball cricket playing for Australia, and as Hills mentions there, he goes above Lasith Malinga, the great Sri Lankan, who took 94 in 60 games. Mitch now has 95 from 52 matches in both one-day internationals and T20 internationals at World Cup level. But the one that stands out for me, mate, is that the fact that he's 48 innings, 48 times he's bowled in a T20 international at a World Cup, 12 wickets in the first over. That's an amazing success rate when you think about it.
Yeah, it is, and that's what probably puts him out to the rest of the bowlers around the world. I know playing a short time with Mitch, that was his huge strength. Some do swing at the start, some hold their line, but if he gets it on song, it is as hard as anyone to face in your first couple of balls, and we've seen that tonight. We've seen the same sort of ball at Abhishek Sharma in the final of the IPL, just sort of hinted to go in, but just held its shape and took those stumps. And then also for Josh Hazlewood to back the next over up with a maiden, it just didn't allow Bangladesh to get any rhythm in the start of the first couple of overs. And yeah, just to me from that moment on, they played a bit scared, and the Aussies were right on point.
Do you know that when you're out there, guys? when that feeling comes across the opposition and you can notice it?
Yep. Yeah, you do. Yeah, 100%. We seen it in the 2015 World Cup when Mitch did the same thing to Brendan McCullum. When you have a big fast bowler come in and can get wickets in the first over, he puts the opposition on the back foot straight away. Number 3's got to come straight in. He's got a decision to make there in a 2020. Do I continue with the game plan to take the new ball on, or do I consolidate? Then we got Hazlewood at the other end, bowls a maiden. All of a sudden, their plans and everything you spoke about leading into the game gets thrown out the window. So to have someone with that skill that can win that first couple of overs with swing and pace, it's gold.
Well, even more so, like especially in T20 cricket, it's all about throwing the first punch, and it was almost like Bangladesh. Yes, the wicket in the first over helped, but it was almost like Bangladesh were waiting for something to happen, waiting for a loose ball, whatever it might have been. And the Australian attack is too good to wait and sort of sit on your heels and wait for something to happen. You actually got to go out there, take them on, and throw the first punch. So from an Australian point of view, the first 6 was the perfect start.
Yeah, and 1 for 39 after 6, Bangladesh. We actually asked also our T20 World Cup channel on Instagram if Mitchell Starc is Australia's greatest ever white ball bowler, and the members voted. Hads, how do you reckon they voted?
Oh, it'd be an interesting one. You got Craig McDermott, Brett Lee, but Mitch with his skill in the first over, I think he'd have to be number 1.
Yeah, he was.
You don't like him, Heels. You put him 12th man.
Had hasn't read the script for today, because I can tell you that they apparently did vote him number 1. But
it was overwhelmingly yes, Hads, because that's recency bias. That's how it works. But in all seriousness, it's hard to argue with numbers and the way he's gone. It'd be an interesting one, though, if Brett Lee played more T20 cricket, how it would have gone. But Mitch has taken his opportunities, obviously, and yeah, those really odd articles of the past 48 hours suggesting that he might miss out. It was one of the strangest things I've read ever, and that takes some doing, because I've read some out there stuff. So
I'd like it also noted that I actually didn't vote on that poll, so
yes,
it was all Brad Haddin.
Yeah, exactly. Bangladesh clawed their way back to have the opportunity to launch in the last 5 to 6 overs. Why do you reckon, guys, it didn't quite happen for them? Was it, again, our variety, and the word that we've used on every single podcast when talking about the T20 World Cup with Australia, adaptability?
I actually just think it was a class level, to be perfectly honest. We started as the business end of the tournament. And Bangladesh, yes, they can be dangerous, and they can sometimes be a really hard team to plan for, because they do have that game in them where they can upset a big nation. But I just don't think deep down they believe they can beat someone like Australia when they're at full strength and all cylinders are firing. And that's what we've seen a bit today. They played a little bit scared. They weren't allowed to get in the rhythm of the game because we were so good. But to me, they just lacked that little bit of confidence to take Australia on and try to get us off the game. And really, it was just a clinical hit out from the Aussie boys.
Heels?
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I think they were waiting for something to happen. They left their run very late. Pat coming in, taking a hat-trick kind of killed the vibe from a Bangladesh bench perspective, where all of a sudden you're relying on your 7, 8, 9 to score all the runs for you at the back end. So it was almost just like they were waiting, biding their time and waiting to strike. But it doesn't work out very well for you in T20 cricket when you're losing wickets right along the way. And that's the beauty. We keep saying it about the Australian attack, is that, even if they just use the 5 bowlers on one day, we obviously saw Stoinis come back into the attack today, but we've just got so many options, especially through the middle, that are really dangerous if you look to over-attack. So I just think that they waited a little bit too long, in particular in the power play, and kind of let Australia get the ascendancy and then never really got it back.
Mitch Starc was bowled his 4th over in the 11th over of the innings. Theory behind that?
It would have been a gut feel by Mitch Marsh. they would have got rid of him early because they thought he could have opened the game right up with a couple of wickets. He's one of those bowlers, and we've spoken about it a bit today, where he can get multiple wickets in and over. He's a true wicket taker, and if you do that, you don't have to worry about what bowlers you use at the back end of the game. But they got the luxury to be able to do that. They won't be predictable through the tournament because they've got options. You got Stoinis there, who's bowling as well as he had for a long time. He's got a lot of confidence. We know Mitch Marsh, he's just been ruled fit to bowl again. I don't think we'll see him unless there's a big total on the board. We're in dire straits, but he's an option. So it was just a gut feel, I'd imagine, for Mitch just to open the game up and go for the win right there.
Yeah, so Pat's hat-trick certainly helped as well, going for the win. Restricting Bangladesh for 8 for 140. So he got rid of Mamadullah. He dragged on. Haddin caught in the deep by Zampa, and Radoy caught by Hazelwood as well. It's short, fine, mistimed scoop. And that was the 7th hat-trick in T20 World Cups overall. He's the second Aussie after Brett Lee, and he did it against Bangladesh in the 2008 T20 World Cup, formative years. And also you can chuck in Ashton Agar and Nathan Ellis, who have taken T20 international hat-tricks for Australia. Agar did it against South Africa, Nathan Ellis also against Bangladesh. But it was over 2 overs, guys. Does it feel like a less of a hat-trick if it's over 2 overs, Heels?
Yeah, well, I was surprised they all knew about it, because it's often the way when you forget that the bowler has come back on and that they're up for a hat-trick. Pat obviously knew that that was the case because he celebrated straight away, but more often than not you don't see the team celebrate because they've completely forgotten. So I don't think it takes anything away from it, but I mean in the T20 format, especially when you bowl those last couple of overs, if you get in a position like that, anything could happen, and I think more and more hat-tricks will start popping up.
Hads, have you ever not celebrated a hat-trick forgetting that it actually was a hat-trick?
No, not at all. And it just goes to show the mindset of a fast bowler. Mate, they know, you talk to McGrath, he knows from 1 to 500 to 600 to 130. Nathan Lyon's the same. And this fast bowling group's all the same. It's the fast bowlers against the rest in that team. We all know they sit at the back of the butts, they bully everyone. So they just got the opportunity to celebrate Paddy's hat-trick, as you said. Over 2 overs, who cares? As long as he's done it, good luck.
You know the one that I don't think should count is over 2 games. That one.
That doesn't anymore.
It doesn't anymore? Oh, because no. I've seen bowlers celebrate that, and I'm like, nah. That does not count. Just because you got 2 wickets or whatever it was, 2 wickets of the last ball of the last game doesn't mean that if you get one today, you get a hat-trick. So I'm glad that doesn't count.
No, because imagine if it happened to Australia. You've got, like, in a test match, you've got, 8 months in between test matches at the moment. So it's an 8-month hat-trick. I mean, yeah. Children are conceived and born in less time. So that can't count. What about innings to innings in a test match, Hads? Does that count? No.
It's the same as if you're 96 stranded with the bat. Whack the first ball, the second innings for 4. Do you start celebrating that 4 like you got 100?
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I would.
It's one for the theory bank, and we might put it up as a poll at one stage on Willow Talk. But we're going to take a little spell and come back with a chat about Australia's run chase. Went pretty well before the rain came, and also what do we think of the other games so far played at this stage of the tournament? So the run chase for Australia got stopped by the rain after 11.2 overs. They were on and on and off and on and on and off again and everything like that. 2 for 100 full stop. They get home with the adjustments. They were ahead of the targets by about 29 runs, I think it was, in the end. But they got it done. Do you know that, Hills? Do you know when you go out to bat, you go, okay, who comes over, the coach or someone? I don't know if a team carries a meteorologist these days. There's big support staff with the Australian team. They come in and say, the shower's coming over here, just keep it ahead of this target.
No, but I really like that idea. I mean, we'll go to High Performance with some funding for a doctor, a physio, a masseuse and a meteorologist to travel around the world with us to let us know when it's going to rain. Well, you do know. I mean, you know your target. It's always on the scoreboard. It's like a minimum standard, especially in ICC events, that is put up on the scoreboard so both teams know where you need to be at the end of the over. And yeah, the Aussies would have known exactly where they needed to be, in particular after the 10th over. just in case something was going to unfold. So, it was. You don't know when the rain's coming, but you can control exactly how many runs you're going to get.
Had's David Warner, 53 off 35. He got dropped on 5. Got to make that point. But apart from that, to me, he looked in total control. This is his last tournament for Australia, and this guy's made a career of playing like he's got something to prove all the time. Would you say, knowing Davey, that it's even gone up a notch because it is his last, that he's still got something to prove?
I don't think he's got anything to prove, David.
No, but that's the way he plays.
One of, if not, well, I don't think he's going to play like that. I just think the one thing he will be this tournament is really free. This is it. He's done everything in the game. He's won one-day World Cups, Ashes campaigns, 50 overs. And if I was given any advice to David, I'd just go out there and enjoy it. Finish this tournament like you started. Remember when he came onto the scene, his first 2020 game for Australia, where he took the South Africans on. Just go out there and play with that freedom. You've got nothing else to prove. You'll go down as one of our greats of the game in 3 formats, and just enjoy it. Enjoy your last campaign and leave your legacy, which is already decided. With David Warner, how well he's played over 3 games, and just leave it with a smile on your face.
Well, once again, Heels, it was the opening partnership with Travis Head, and you can't help but think in T20 Nationals with those guys, especially the rate that they score at, if they're there at the end of the power play, it means, well, we're in the box seat, and so it was again today. Yeah,
well, it's just, normally in T20 cricket, you try and muck up the bowling a little bit by going left-hand, right-hand combinations and try and mix it up, but the beauty of these two at the moment is they both play so differently as left-handers that they're actually impossible to bowl to. I mean, there's a bit of chatter around the game tonight about, initially he used to bowl, quite tight to David Warner, tuck him up, but now he's got that shot over fine leg that he can get you away, and all of a sudden you miss 30 centimetres outside off stump to Travis Head and you're going to the boundary. So the bowling's just got to be so precise to those two up front. And that's exactly the start that Australia want to get off to in any game, whether you're setting or you're chasing something down, is if those two get going and get us off to a fly, and then we've got enough power in the middle order to chase anything down or set a big total. So, yeah, it's exciting to watch, and it's exactly what Bangladesh didn't do up front. They looked to take the bowling on and put them under pressure.
What's par for these two, Hads, when at the top of the innings, say they are there at the end of the power play? What would you say is a score that really works for Australia?
You don't give them par, these two. You've seen some of the things they've done in the IPL. You don't want to put a restriction on them. If you say, get to 50 at the power play, these two could easily get to 50 in the first 2 overs. So they're a pair that you just go, they've played enough cricket now, just go out there and react to what you see. They've done all their homework off-site, they've done their analytics, they would have prepared really well, but what you want them to do when they walk out is don't second-guess their game. If these two get going for 4 overs, and we've seen Travis Head do it in the IPL, he took his team from, I think, 10th to the final with just sheer aggression. So you don't put numbers on these two. You give them all the information that they need to clear their head and when they get out there to react, because they can win you the game in the first 6 overs, which is how aggressive they are.
Heels, it's hard to find anything else really to talk about at the Australian innings apart from maybe the advent of a meteorologist with the team henceforth. However, Glenn Maxwell, he only faced 6 balls and he hasn't really got it going this tournament. Okay, 28 against England, but in the other games, no return in the ones that he did bat in. But how would you sum up how he looked in the brief time we got to see him?
Yeah, I thought he looked excellent. I think, stride out there first ball, look to attack, hit a reverse through the offside. But I think the shot that kind of sealed it for me, that maybe this is a little bit of a turning point for him, was that cover drive off Rahman, kind of a couple of balls into his innings. He just pounded that through the covers. Nothing flashy, just a really nice looking cricket shot. Means you're really steady, you're stable at the crease. So, yeah, hopefully he takes a lot of confidence out of that. Obviously, like you said, it wasn't a lot of balls faced, but I thought he played some really nice cricket shots and kept the momentum going for Australia, which is kind of his job.
Glenn Maxwell's one of those unique cricketers. When you're going into your planning meeting, you look back at the last 10 knocks and there's not a lot of form to talk about. So, yes, you can have your plans, but at the back of your mind, when you're an opposition team, and this is how all the oppositions will be thinking, I hope he doesn't go off against us.
Yeah.
Because he's not one of those players that he has a consistent form line. He's one of those who'll have a slow patch, then he might have 5 really good games in the row. But let's just say he goes off for 2 games in the next stages. All of a sudden, we're in the semi-finals. So he's one of those guys that you just got to make sure he's doing everything he can at training, clear your head. Do not think about what's gone before you. And as you said, Heels, he played a couple of shots tonight that showed that his technique and base and everything's in a really good spot. So expect him in one of the next couple of games to win a man of the match and win a game for Australia. But the best point with that is opposition will be thinking about that as well. I hope Maxwell doesn't go off against us.
Well, so he's like a roulette wheel, is it, basically? So the last 10 spins have been really low numbers. Eventually there's got to be a high number. Eventually you've got to go to the end of it.
Well, if you keep putting money on red 7, it's got to come up at some point, right? So if you're going to keep backing Glenn Maxwell in your side, he's gonna come off at some point. But yeah, I think as an opposition, you're quite literally, like I had said, you're planning for him and you're going to bowl your best deliveries to him, but you're actually just hoping that he misses or he does something a little bit out of the ordinary and it doesn't come off. So yeah, that's literally how you could prepare for him most of the time.
So with Maxie at the crease and David Warner at the end there, didn't know it was the end at the time. It was 11.2 overs in. Australia at 2 for 100. DLS pass score was 72. They called it. Australia home by 28 runs. And on top of the group, thanks to that, with a net run rate of 2.48, ahead of India on 2.35. Australia, of course, need just one more win to advance to the semi-finals, which is listed here, and I'll totally agree with producer Sam how he's labelled it. The Haddin Bowl, Australia v Afghanistan in St Vincent on Sunday morning, our time, on the east coast of Australia at 10:30 a.m. Let's talk about the other games we've seen so far. Firstly, we'll start with Afghanistan-India, and it seemed that Afghanistan had their opportunity in this one at stages, but India got past the fact that they lost Rohit Sharma early, got past the fact that Virat Kohli didn't really get going and still found a way.
Yeah, well, I think probably what the last 24 plus hours has proven to me is that my prediction of the 4 semi-finalists is looking further and further wrong, or closer to being wrong as every day moves on. But obviously with West Indies losing as well. But look, I think India just flexed their muscles a little bit against Afghanistan. I thought they were a real chance of knocking India off and sort of keeping them quiet in that Super 8s and making that last game against Australia really, really interesting. But probably just didn't quite cash in on the opportunities that were thrown their way. But in saying that, I think India are just a really, really good side coming off a lot of T20 cricket, well experienced. So I feel like now is the time for them to show everyone what they're capable of.
Yeah, spot on. I think India flexed their muscles. I don't think that the result of this game was ever in any doubt. The one Achilles heel the Afghanistan team has is their batting. And Gobaz at the top didn't get any runs. I think they were 5 for 76 for 100. England just cruised through. But I tell you, there's a couple of trends starting to change now. The better teams are starting to score runs with better surfaces. But what about Bumrah? Yeah. He's talking about in T20, okay, we've got to shut the scoreboard down by getting wickets. He gets wickets, but if he doesn't get wickets, he can still shut the scoreboard down as well. It's going to be interesting when Australia play him. They've played him a lot. Do they take their medicine and take him for none for, 25, 30 off his 4 overs, then attack the spin? Or do you send someone out to take him on and try to get him off his length? Because he's been absolutely outstanding for some time now, and he's getting wickets and shutting the scoreboard down. So it'll be interesting to see the Aussies' approach when they take Bumrah on.
Yeah, his figures
funny you
in
say
this...
that, because after our episode the other day, we copped a little bit of flack for not putting Bumrah. I did, not putting him in the side, but when you look at the pure facts of the T20 World Cup so far, he hasn't taken a heap of wickets. Yes, his economy rate's been really good, but by the end of the tournament, he'll be in that team of the tournament because this is where he's going to shine. He's going to get wickets up front when teams look to take him on. So I don't know how the Aussies play it. You can kind of sit on him and hope that you can get, just take him 5, 6 and over, but I think you just got to somehow find a way to attack him.
Yeah, if you put up an opinion that all of India doesn't agree with about cricket on Instagram, they basically take a flamethrower to your opinion, don't they? So, that's the way it goes. We've come to respect that, absolutely, and respect Jasprit Bumrah, especially with the figures in a T20 World Cup game of 4 overs, 3 for 7. Yes, a little difficult to get away, old Jasprit. Anyway, we look forward to seeing him in the Test series in the flesh later in the year. In the other group, though, England. Okay, here's one for you. They gave it to the West Indies off the blazing innings of Phil Salt, who was outstanding. It was ridiculous. The final 30 runs of the game, he scored the majority of them. He was just in sublime form. Could this victory, Hads, jumpstart England's campaign in a little way similar to the way Australia beat Sri Lanka in the 50-over World Cup for the Blokes last year in India, and that started the momentum for them?
I think we had a bit of fun with England, and we all dreamed, hoping that they wouldn't go through to the next stage. They started the tournament slow, but now that they're in the Super 8s, mate, they've flexed their muscle. The West Indies, they've got 180. The trend in the tournament's been, runs have been hard to come by. They've got it 2 down. Phil Salt's had an amazing 12 months, actually. It started 12 months ago over in the Caribbean. He got a couple of hundreds in 2020 cricket, probably forced his way into this team, and he had an outstanding IPL. So, yes, we joked a bit about England not doing too well, and we had all the scenarios, but as I said the other day, the tournament doesn't start to now. And as soon as they had to flex their muscle, they were very, very impressive with the bat.
Well, I mean, they're a dangerous side, right? And that's what I was trying to get the point across, that Josh Hazlewood's comments about them not being in the Super 8s being, beneficial for everyone was spot on, because they are an overly aggressive side with both bat and ball, and they're going to take it to every opposition that they come up against, which, when it comes down to knockout play is very, very dangerous. So, yeah, look, I think it could be a really good result for them. It's probably just going to give them the belief that, yep, here we go, we're starting to get going now. We've got a little bit of rhythm into our tournament, and just get themselves ready for each fixture. But, look, it's probably a little bit scary for oppositions, but, it'll be interesting to see how they just keep rolling with it. Yeah,
I do think if England go on to win this, that Marcus Stoinis should be paid double for any appearance in the 100 or the T20 Blast that they have in the next 3 years. I think it's only fair that, if not for him, probably England aren't playing in this tournament anymore. So, just an idea to throw out there. The Windies, Hads, you worry about them? They have to beat the USA and South Africa to advance.
I don't think my opinions change at the West Indies. I was a bit shocked that they got through to this stage, actually. Their really? 2020, their 2020 cricket over the last couple of years hasn't been great. Yes, they've got some match winners in their team. Nicholas Purum, as I've said before, he's a dangerous batter. I was just a bit worried that their consistency in handling the pressure of a home World Cup was going to be too much for them. And now we'll see what they're made of. They can prove me wrong over the next couple of games. They don't have to play now from behind the game. They've got to win the next couple of games to go through and play semi-finals in their home World Cup. But I think it's going to be hard for the West Indies.
Yeah, those next fixtures in that group, England play South Africa and USA play the West Indies to take place before we'll reconvene to talk about Australia taking on Afghanistan and also India taking on Bangladesh. So we'll have it all wrapped up here on Sunday afternoon with the Willow Talk podcast and the reaction to it. That game, once again, Australia-Afghanistan in St Vincent, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern start time for that one. Now, before we go, the catch, guys, we put it on the group chat. I know you're not all across social media, but it's doing doing a good bit of business on social media. Marnus Labuschagne, playing for Glamorgan in the T20 Blast competition, he just picks it straight off the bat. He had no right to just probably even stop it for going for a boundary, but to catch it at full pelt, at full stretch, one hand grabs it. Is that one of, if not the best catch you've seen in the outfield from an Australian cricketer?
Yep. I can safely say I haven't quite seen anything like that. I feel like we've seen a lot around the rope where people are, hanging over the back of the rope, throwing it to a mate, which I find pretty remarkable. But yeah, to dive full stretch like that, catch it probably 5 centimetres off the ground, and somehow keep the ball off the turf at the same time. A remarkable piece of athleticism to start with, but to have the presence of mind to do that. Ridiculous. I don't think we'll see too much better than that. I'm sure we will. I don't think, there's more and more athletes coming into the game. But for right now, that's probably one of the best catches I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, you know what I love? That Marnus consistently puts himself in positions to influence the game. No matter what format of the game, whether he's playing grade cricket for Australia, we've seen his energy there and the way he feels. But he's playing county cricket. He's had a long season. And he's still put himself in positions to make catches like that. It's one of the best you'll see from an extraordinary athlete and someone who just, if they're not batting or bowling, all he's thinking about is how can I influence the result of the game. And they're the guys you want to play with. So I think we all sit here now with a bit of a smile on our face saying we're not surprised that Marnus is doing things like this.
The 3 best I can think of from an Australian cricket off the top of my head, Steve Waugh, where he nearly impaled himself against a sight screen running back one night in a one day. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s. That was an incredible catch. Even further back, John Dyson in the outfield playing Test cricket for Australia. That was a freakish catch. And I remember one that Jake Fraser-McGurk took a couple of seasons ago in the Big Bash playing for the Renegades at Marvel Stadium, where he looked like a soccer goalkeeper just picking one out of the top corner, basically. That was an incredible catch. But Marnus is one, I don't know, Hads, you might agree, but Alyssa, you're the elite athlete right now at this table. But I looked at Marnus's one, and the first thing that came into my brain was, oh my God, that looks like it hurts so much to be able to do that. Like getting up. I just thought chiropractor as soon as I saw that.
I'm flattered by the term elite athlete. I really appreciate that. I think the word elite fell off a few years ago, but it was more like it does help when you're so close to the ground anyway. He's not 6'5", but the fact that he made some meters. What's most impressive to me is that he didn't put the ball on the ground. Like, I haven't seen a real slow-mo to see if he did or not. It was too remarkable and just let it go because it was amazing. But to be in that position, not put the ball on the ground to sort of steady yourself, it's freakish. But I mean, Marnus is an absolute freak at everything that he does, and he works really hard to be as good as what he is. So it's not really unsurprising that it was him.
Heels, Hads, have a great start to the weekend. Thanks for the Friday Arvo chat. We'll have a Sunday Arvo chat after the Afghanistan game. And Hads, either one way, you're going to be happy that Australia are through, or that Afghanistan have got to win, and you could be right with them making the semis. Good luck with that one, mate.
Go Aussies.
Cheers, guys. That was Willow Talk, back on Sunday with more reaction from the T20 World Cup. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.